All right, Matt Walsh. Let's hear this. I am excited to finally have a moment where I get to agree with Matt Walsh on something. It's a rare thing.
From the store, then they need to turn those tapes over to the defense. The prosecution cannot modify the tape.
Nope, go back to the beginning.
In every single criminal trial in this country, whether the crime is petty theft or murder or anything in between, there are very clear standards that deal with video evidence. And in particular, if the government wants to introduce video evidence, they have to provide all of the available footage that they have. That's a pretty intuitive concept. So if somebody robs a convenience store and police recover surveillance tapes from the store, then they need to turn those tapes over to the defense. The prosecution cannot modify the tapes in any way. They can't splice together different tapes. They certainly can't delete anything. They have to provide the raw, unedited footage to the defense team. And on top of that, they have to verify that the tapes are authentic and they haven't been tampered with by establishing a sworn chain of custody. This is
okay. So he's just describing discovery,
yep.
Right? Like that's just describing how discovery works. So I did want to pause here though, because one of the defenses that was given by Caroline Leavitt about the Epstein files was we can't release them because that would be distributing child pornography if you watched that moment.
But
it's like we don't want to distribute child pornography, and just like I understand that, but this is a legal case.
But
and
also,
this is how discovery works.
But also, you can censor that. We're not asking for the release of like.
Please don't
say
release in relation to this.
Oh,
that
God.
sounds gross.
We're not asking for this material to be put out there like on
censor the victims.
Yeah,
censor the victims' faces.
Censor the victims'
and everything
faces.
Else.
But
everything else too, please.
Genuinely, all we're asking, we want the client list. It's not like we want every bit of information public about this. We just want the client list. We want, and I understand there are people out there who get really nitpicky about like, oh, but there isn't a client list. There isn't one list anywhere. But like, okay, but you can like compile one from the amount of evidence you have. They're saying you have tens of thousands of videos.
And the thing is, those were not the words of the left. Those were not the words of random influencers online. Those are the words of the Attorney General.
Yeah, that's the Attorney...
the shit that we were told.
The Attorney General of the United States, like Dan Bongino's like whole thing prior to becoming Deputy Director of the FBI was that like, yeah, we're going to release the Epstein stuff. We've got a bunch of evidence. We're going to do that. And like... It just kind of, and like even today, Donald Trump has been talking about like, I got briefed on the Epstein list, and it's just not very interesting. It's like that's what you're just saying it's not interesting.
That's because so I hate saying it this way. I really do. I understand it from the perspective of somebody like Trump. So the way that Trump's going to describe anything is in the language of television. He understands things by how popular they are, what television ratings they will get. That's the language he understands. So when he says they're just not very interesting, he's literally just saying, I don't think it would make good television. Because that's what he said about fucking political campaigns before, is just going like, it's going to make great television. This is the language he understands.
I think there's a little bit of truth to that, but I think there's a bigger factor here, and I think he's genuinely worried. And I don't know if he's worried, and I talked about this a little bit yesterday on my stream, but I don't know if he's worried because he is implicated in the abuse of children, or if he's worried because he's implicated in the financial ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Because people to this day still don't have a solid understanding of where Jeffrey Epstein got all of his wealth. We don't know where he got his money. We don't know. And so it's speculated that it's blackmail and like a result of just blackmailing people up food chains. But like, it's a non-zero possibility that like either he is one of those clients. I mean, you're the best friend of this guy for 15 years and you aren't implicated in any of this.
And the only reason that you publicly stopped being his friend is he just happened to flirt with one of your other friend's daughter at a public event. And that was your red flag. Like that was your line in all of this was, oh, you fucked up publicly.
Yeah, and then he wishes the person who has 20 years in prison for trafficking children, wishes her well, and behind the scenes debates whether or not he should pardon her. Like,
should we pardon Maxwell? You know, honestly, I'm not really big on hurting women. I mean, like, I just can't see myself doing it.
It seems to me that there is something here, and I think that when he says, "Oh, it's there's nothing interesting there," I think it's just he's desperately trying to figure out a way to reduce interest in this, and that's not going to happen. Like, I don't.
Yeah, he is definitely asking everybody to change the channel more than anything, because it's not that it's just not very interesting. Because if it's not very interesting, then just release it to the public. It can literally do nothing then. If it's not very interesting, here's what's going to happen. I can tell you what's going to happen in a world where it's not very interesting. Because we saw this world with Project 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Project 2025 was not very interesting. If you were politically plugged in, it was the thing you fixated on. But on stream, I read through 200 pages of it to my stream. And I could not do any more than that because it was either too much or I got bored because it's too big of a document written in legalese, which is the most fucking frustrating thing to ever read ever.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest problem with Project 2025 was that it was not interesting to people. People were perfectly happy to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody wanted to fucking read it.
Yeah, it was absolutely. I mean, it's absolutely devastating. It should have been a bigger story. But like, I went through all of the training videos for Project 2025 on my channel, and like how they're just talking about we want to gut the departments, and we want you to be our front line. You know, whoever you are, you know, just sign up. You can be any dipshit. And it was genuinely insane. But like, despite that, like, those videos did not do numbers, you know, like people it was not interesting to people. And this was a publicly available plan. There was no secret about it.
Yeah, this was a thing that everybody could see. And like, obviously Trump tried to deflect from it, saying like, actually, no, Agenda 47 is what we're doing today. And we're not talking about that. Mm-hmm. And then he's done all the things on Project 2025. People do not have the attention spans for something that is laid out like that. So like, in the world where the Epstein files are that, okay, fine, just release them to the public. It obviously didn't hurt you when everybody read Project 2025. They had all the information they could have possibly needed because they just didn't fucking read it. You release the Epstein files to the public, 99% of people are not going to go through them. 99% of the people are going to let their content creators and the pundits and the people whose job it is to talk about this stuff go through them, and then they're going to be at the whims of whoever happens to be supplying that information at the time, because that always fucking happens.
And if that's boring, you know, and I have a very deep feeling that it's not actually boring, and that's the reason he doesn't want to release it, because like, again, it's not even just like, oh, this is an interesting thing that people latch onto, just let it go. Like, everyone, just let it go, calm down, because this is like the pillar he built like half of his support on. You know, like all of the QAnon folks, all of like the MAGA extremists.
Every Pizzagate person.
Yep.
They were here thinking Trump was going to fight the pedos.
Yeah. Every single person who thought he was going to drain the swamp, for them, this is what the swamp is. And like, they can't let it go because like, I listened to a clip of from Glenn Beck's show. Glenn Beck takes like calls on his show, and this guy called in, and his voice is just shaking because these people, like, you can think they're stupid, you can think that they don't care about anything, you can think they're cruel, whatever, but in their minds and in their world, they deeply care about this issue. And like, this guy is on the verge of tears, talking about like how literally nothing else matters if we can't even protect children from something like this. And like, in Trump world, this isn't going away. Like I think they could excuse basically anything. They ignored the fact that like it's been known for years that he and Jeffrey Epstein were best friends. They ignored for years that like, oh yeah, they partied together and they shared a love of women together, and
even though he likes them on the younger side. Actual fucking words from Trump, by the way.
Yeah, they ignored
actual words from Trump.
They ignored that Donald Trump would go into like the dressing rooms of like teenage beauty contestants.
Yep.
Like some of whom were underage. Like they ignored a lot of things about Donald Trump. There are literal clips of him of like his daughter saying, "Ha ha ha! People think you're like a sexual predator." On like the Howard Stern show, there are clips of him like talking about how sexy his daughter is and how voluptuous she was at like 12. Like
he would be dating her if she wasn't his daughter. Again, his words.
Yeah, there are also clips of him like pointing at like random children, being like, "I'll be dating her in 10 years." Like. It's some really weird and gross stuff. And they were willing to just ignore all of that and pretend it either didn't exist or that they didn't really care, as long as, you know, he got into power and did what he said he was going to do, because they want that. And this is literally like the thing he needed to deliver on. And it's something that they made a central pillar of their support for him. And I don't think he really understands that. I don't know that he can make it go away, because he's just yelling at people now to stop talking about it.
He's created the problem. He's got a whole bunch of people who have lived in two parallel worlds. They've lived in the world where Tennessee Republicans want to bring back child marriage.
Oh, wait. Also, Nindreen in my chat is absolutely right. Epstein and Trump being friends is like being a friend with Diddy. And Donald Trump was also friends and partied with Diddy.
Okay, I need to say something, though. Just something that I think we've all been thinking but really needs to be said. We need to talk about the real victim in the Diddy situation. It's Johnson & Johnson. I'm sorry, but when you as a business lose 50% of your sales overnight, that's horrifying. I'm not talking about their stock. I'm just saying, like, when you have a fucking soda fountain pumping out Johnson & Johnson oil, you are the number one buyer.
I really feel for the Johnson families, you know, the Johnson number 1 family and Johnson number 2 family. They must really be hurting today.
But no, seriously, dude's a fucking monster, and I hope he rots.
Yeah, and like I don't know, you've lost like Asmongold support. Like you lost the Joe Rogan support. Like you're losing like the dipshits on this one, Trump, and I don't know how you get them back.
I don't think you. So I say I don't think you do, but like these are the same people who Trump lost when Biden got elected, and then he got them back like overnight.
Mm-hmm. This seems to have legs, though.
I'm hoping it does. I really hope this is the thing that causes people to understand that this is a megalomaniacal guy who does not need to have power.
Yep.
About as basic as it gets. Every judge in the country, even Ketanji Brown Jackson, I bet, can grasp this very straightforward concept. You can easily get a case thrown out of traffic court if they won't give you all of the relevant footage that they have. Or, of course, if they give you footage that's been doctored in some way. On the other hand, when it comes to the single most watched sex trafficking case in the history of the United States, this rule apparently doesn't apply. You can forget all about chain of custody, and you can forget about obtaining raw footage as well. Instead, in the case of Jeffrey Epstein, the DOJ produced a video that was clearly manipulated. As we discussed previously, Wired magazine found that
I think he's talking about the one from Jeffrey Epstein's cell, where there was like a minute or two that was missing.
Oh, like a full on like 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that they claimed it was the raw
footage.
And they claim it's the raw, unedited footage, and it's missing 3 minutes. They're like, I don't know. I've always leaned towards he didn't kill himself, but like this is some real, like, if you're innocent, you're doing some real goofy shit to make yourself look as guilty as possible of covering this up.
It's true.
I'm too sober for what's happening right now.
The footage from outside Epstein's jail cell which the DOJ claimed was raw footage, had actually been edited and saved multiple times back in May of this year. Specifically, quote, the file was assembled from at least 2 source clips, saved multiple times, exported, and then uploaded to the DOJ's website. Additionally, viewers noticed that there was a glitch when the timer in the footage moved from 11:58 to 11:59 p.m. It seemed to jump ahead to midnight. None of this was initially explained or disclosed by the DOJ, which again referred to the footage as raw. Of course, the reason the DOJ claimed the footage was raw is that they understand, as most people do, that any edits for any reason would immediately raise a lot of questions. There should be no need to save the file multiple times or to combine clips, to delete things. They could have just posted everything they had. Raw footage, that's what that means. Just here it is. And the public can sort it out from there. But the DOJ didn't do that.
So
I'm really shocked.
There is one tiny hole here. I can understand security footage that is being... So when security footage is being kept, it's usually kept for, 30 days, 60 days, depending on the protocol. I can understand the footage being saved over a couple of times as it's basically being transferred between hard drives. I can understand that being something that's there, but the 2 to 3 minutes being missing from the footage is something that I cannot even for a moment consider anywhere near normal. Yeah,
especially if we're talking about it appears that 2 different strands of footage were spliced together.
Yeah.
It's just very weird. It's especially weird that they thought no one would notice.
Yeah. I don't know. Man, I wonder if it really is a nobody's going to notice when we do this shit type of thing, or is it arrogance?
I mean,
because it could go either way.
Yeah, I genuinely have no idea. These people are just I can easily imagine that the people in charge of releasing this footage were the most incompetent people they could find, because that's really all who's being put in charge of things these days.
I mean, once more, Project 2025 is an article that anybody can read.
Yep.
One of the things it talks about is by getting rid of skilled labor in the government and replacing it with people who are more amenable to whatever random shit and whims that the president at the time, in this case Donald Trump, wants you to do. It is literally written right there for anybody at all who wants that information. I'm not saying that had anything to do with this particular scenario. I'm just saying that is well understood and written information we can all see. So, anyway, Naki Bree says, so I just got here. Is Matt defending Partisan Trump? Let's find out.
It's possible they were hoping that no one would look at the metadata or study the videos closely. And if that was the plan, it didn't last very long. After the footage was posted and Wired Magazine noticed the problem, Pam Bondi had to come up with a justification for all of the discrepancies. And what she said ultimately is that the security system in the jail resets every night for around a minute. And therefore, we're told there was nothing nefarious about the missing footage. It's just a fact of life that in one of the most secure prisons in the country, we can't design a camera system that stays online 24/7.
It's very easy to do that, by the way. You have backup cameras that only have the job of being on for a handful of minutes. That's what you do.
I'm really upset at how much sense Matt Walsh is making here. I'm not used to him being able to string this many words together, and me not having an inherent fundamental problem with what he is saying. But
we're just sitting here agreeing with Matt Walsh. It's really, it feels weird and wrong.
I mean, if a corner bodega can have 24/7 security cameras, I feel like one of the most secure prisons in the country should be able to handle that.
And that is the most New York thing you've said in the last hour.
That's beyond our capacity. We can, land a man on the moon, but we can't prevent the cameras from shutting down every night just long enough to, maybe allow someone to get murdered. We also can't make sure that there's more than one functioning camera in the vicinity of this cell block. Now, already this was an unsatisfactory explanation. The DOJ didn't actually provide proof that the system needs to go offline for a minute every night. Bondi just claimed that it was normal, and we're all supposed to accept it.
Mm-hmm.
She also didn't say anything whatsoever about why the footage needed to be edited in the first place. Again, this would not fly in traffic court. And it definitely doesn't pass muster when we're talking about Jeffrey Epstein, who had the potential to implicate the most powerful people in the world. And yet somehow the story just got much, much worse for Bondi and the DOJ. It turns out that even after they were exposed for hiding relevant information from the public about this tape, they still haven't come forward with the full story. So it falls on Wired Magazine, a small internet publication, to fill in even more details. And here's what they reported the other day. Quote, newly uncovered metadata reveals that nearly 3 minutes of footage were cut from the U.S. Department of Justice and Federal Bureau of Investigation, described as full raw surveillance video from the only functioning camera near Jeffrey Epstein's prison cell the night before he was found dead. Further analysis shows that one of the source clips was approximately 2 minutes and 53 seconds longer than the segment included in the final video, indicating that footage appears to have been trimmed before release. It's unclear what, if anything, the minutes cut from the first clip showed. Now, before we read on further in the article, there is just simply no way to justify this. It doesn't matter if the extra 2 minutes and 53 seconds, were irrelevant. It doesn't matter if those extra 2 minutes and 53 seconds were duplicated in another video file. In this case, and in every other case, the duty of the government is to be transparent. It's not to save people a very small amount of time when they're watching an hour's worth of video footage. Any government that's functioning properly would understand this calculation immediately. Just give people all of the information that you have and let them sort it out. The article could...
Again, it feels really weird to just be sitting here nodding along with Matt Walsh. He hasn't said something I disagree with yet.
Yeah, I mean, like, the one thing I would add is that, like, I find it interesting in this moment to see who is standing with the Trump administration and who is, like, willing to distance themselves from the Trump administration, right? Like, because I think that there are people out there who are still willing to go to bat for Trump despite everything. But, like, it is very interesting to me that, like, you've lost Joe Rogan, you've lost Asmongold, you've lost Matt Walsh. Do you have any idea how hard you have to work to lose the Matt Walsh contingent of the conservative movement? Like, I guess he lost Charlie Kirk briefly, and then Charlie Kirk came back.
He got his marching orders over the weekend and was like, I'm done talking about the Epstein files. I'm going to listen to my friends in the government. Oh, yeah. Which, by the way, are words that Charlie Kirk would never have uttered a handful of years ago. My friends in the government. I trust my friends in the government.
God, it's so weird.
I thought the joke was supposed to be that the minute that somebody says, I'm from the government and I'm here to help, your alarm bells are supposed to ring.
Right. And on top of that, like, you lost Megyn Kelly, you lost Tucker Carlson, and I do think, and I said this like a few days ago, but, like, I think Tucker Carlson is going to use this as, like, a springboard to launch, like, a stab at the presidency in 2028. I think, like, he's seeing this, like, he's kind of been sleeping, like, he did that stuff on Twitter, and now he's, like, kind of leveraged it back to YouTube, and I think he's kind of gearing up for some kind of... It's been a long rumored he wants to be president. He wants to be in politics, like, officially. And, like, that kind of terrifies me a little bit.
Yeah, we've already seen enough of just absolute jackass-worthy people in politics. We don't need more.
Yeah.
We really don't. Like, I've been flirting with trying to run for commissioner here in Georgia, but
hell yeah,
not in Georgia specifically. It just would be in my county. Yeah, problem is that I don't know if I could do any good from that particular seat, because most of that just involves with zoning laws. It would almost completely be I am doing this because I don't know if the same thing is being offered everywhere, but a don't leave any seat challenged is something that that political organizations aligned with the Democratic Party are getting funding, as long as they can make sure that every single seat is being challenged if it has a Republican incumbent. So, like, I would be one more asshole in politics at that point, but that's literally just so that a local org can get funding.
I mean, yeah, it's... I'm just a firm believer that, like, the current moment just calls for everyone who feels like they have a shot at getting a local or state level position, like, fucking go for it. You know, like, that's kind of where I'm at.
I am working with the Clarence Blaylock campaign against Marjorie Taylor Greene, though.
Oh, hell
That is
yeah.
something. I'm doing his filming
Oh, that's
for all
great.
of his political advertisements. So, like, there is something I'm doing in that realm
Yeah.
that's different.
Let's
but
go.
I'm hoping that works well, because I'm tired of being in Marjorie's district. I'm tired of living in her shadow. It's very frustrating. All right, let's continue with Epstein stuff, I guess.
Oh, yeah,
Continues,
that's
quote,
happening.
The nearly 3-minute discrepancy may be related to the widely reported 1-minute gap between 11:58 and 58 seconds p.m. and 12 a.m. that Attorney General Pam Bondi has attributed to a nightly system reset. The metadata confirms that the first video file, which showed footage from August 9th, 2019, continued for several minutes beyond what appears in the final version of the video. It was trimmed to the 11:58 p.m. Mark right before the jump to midnight. The cut to the first clip doesn't necessarily mean that there is additional time unaccounted for. The second clip picks up at midnight, which suggests the two would overlap. Nor does it prove that the video, that the missing minute was cut from the video. Close quote. In other words, we can't say definitively what's in the 3 minutes of footage that were cut. It's possible there's nothing of interest, but there's one way the government could provide some more clarity. They could simply dump all the files on the DOJ's website without any editing whatsoever. At the moment, no one in the Trump administration can come up with a coherent justification for why this hasn't been done. They also can't explain why they haven't released phase 2 of the Epstein files, which was originally planned, or the truckload of documents that Pam Bondi said the DOJ had recovered in the last few months from the Southern District of New York.
She said they were
She says there are
literally on her
graphic
desk.
depictions of children on the videos that
Not only did she say they were on her desk, but you remember that they had all the content people
Yeah.
like holding up the files saying, "Oh, we have them all here. It's all happening. It's all gonna come together."
Yeah, it was just like an executive summary of like everything that was already publicly known. They
Yeah.
it was really stupid.
Oh my god.
she can't release, but she hasn't said anything at all about any of the documents beyond telling us that they're apparently not important, which is different from what she initially said. Nor has she unsealed the search warrants or financial disclosures in the case. Instead of getting any transparency here, the Trump administration is continuing to tell us that these materials are boring and that we shouldn't care about them. Here's how the president put it yesterday. Listen.
I know you've urged people to move on, but I'm curious, why do you think your supporters in particular have been so interested in the Epstein story and so upset about how it's been handled? Why
I
do you
don't
think that is?
understand it. Why they would be so interested. He's dead for a long time. He was never a big factor in terms of life. I don't understand what...
He was never a big factor in terms of life.
Because he's dead now.
My guy, he's one of the most well-connected people in media and politics, and that is still a conversation people are having to this day for a reason. Why do people still talk about Michael Jackson
But
to this day?
But Suris, if he was so big on life, explain how he's
Why
dead.
If he was so big on life, why is he dead now?
Yeah, it really makes you think.
If life was important, why die? Why do people even die? If life is so good, why is there no life too?
God.
Jesus Christ. So who remembers the Iraqi information minister? He'd be taking notes from this. Look, all I'm saying is those weapons of mass destruction, they're in there somewhere. Bush told me for years he'd find them. Life too is just heaven or hell, right? Right, but a part of life is that you die. So, no.
Life
Here,
2 would have twice as many microtransactions.
So, no. Life 2 would just be a slower, more deliberate version of Life 1, and support for Life 1 would not be cut, but it would probably go into maintenance mode after a while, and then the community would move away from Life 2 and go back to Life 1 by and large, because they had a well-established time in Life 1. I'm just talking about Path of Exile now. I'm just talking about everything that Saki's ever described to me about Path of Exile 1 and 2 now.
I mean, I thought you were talking about Overwatch.
I mean, the difference is that nobody in this house cares about Overwatch, so
That's
I have
fair.
I have no context for that one.
Don't worry.
The interest or what the fascination is, I really don't. And the credible information's been given. Don't forget, we went through years of the Mueller witch hunt and all of the different things, the Steele dossier, which was all fake. All that information was fake. But I don't understand.
Was it fake, or did it just not stick to you? Like, most of the shit that happened to Al Capone, most of the legal stuff that he went through, it was all real, but they couldn't get anything to truly stick to him because of his money and influence. Like somebody else we're talking about in the room right now, Drumpf.
I think that, like, maybe one of the most damning things, though, is that no one is even like people like us are like, yeah, hey, this guy was friends with Epstein for like 15 years. But like, no one is saying to him or pointing fingers at him directly here. But he's like, he goes to, oh, yeah, they're making up all of this stuff about me. And it's kind of implying that, like, the Epstein files are about him. You know, like, it makes him look so fucking guilty. It's ridiculous.
So I will say this in regards to the whole ordeal, in regards to Trump. It is interesting to me watching this guy bounce from like one giant media thing to the next because of this shit. Did you see shortly after like all of this stuff went viral, he decided, we're going to deport Rosie O'Donnell?
Oh, yeah.
And then after that, the most recent thing was him going, the White House going, would you like to share a Coke with Trump? Because Trump got on the phone with Coca-Cola, and now they're bringing cane sugar Coke back to the United States, which is weird because last I checked, I can go to the convenience store and buy a glass bottle of Mexican Coca-Cola. So I can, like, I have access to cane sugar Coke right now.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be bringing anything back. It exists here already.
Yeah, it's he's really trying hard to figure out what kind of useless bullshit is going to make people like him again. And I don't know that, like, you can distract people from this. They've literally been obsessed with this for like a decade. They're not going to stop now.
Yeah, it's an ordeal, and it's an ordeal he created for himself, right? Like, This is the guy who built an entire idea of himself for his base as like he's the hero. He's the guy who's going to save us all. He's the guy who's going to save the kids from the bottom of the pizza parlor.
He literally sold digital trading cards of himself as a superhero. Like I don't like. Do you remember that?
Isn't James Gunn suing him for using his likeness on his fucking Superman poster?
Wait, is that? I don't know. I haven't heard about that. If so, that's incredible.
Hold on. Let's double check this.
Yeah, people were literally saying he was Q from QAnon. Like, people thought he was the guy.
Okay, so he didn't actually file a lawsuit against President Donald Trump for unauthorized stuff. I just checked Snopes about it. But
okay, that's sad.
That is a meme that's been trending because the White House put out its Trump Truth, Justice, and the American Way Superman. It's just James Gunn Superman with Trump's face on it.
God.
The fact the White House did that and used AI to do it, which means the White House is just stealing artwork from people without their consent because that's how generative AI works. Just, yeah. I love the world. There are ethical uses for large language models, and artwork is not one of them.
Nope.
And why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring. And I don't understand why it keeps going. I think, well, really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going. But credible information, let them give it. Anything that's credible, I would say, let them have it.
Now,
only very
and
bad
by the way,
people
just this
are
morning,
interested
he
in
lashed
it.
out again on Truth Social.
Only the bad people want it, but if there's credible information in there, they should have it. Okay, cool. My guy, you're the one who has the power to give that information out.
Hey, my entire base, who's been obsessed with this for decades, you're all very bad people for caring about this.
Attacking anyone who's still asking about Epstein as weaklings and saying that he doesn't want their support anymore. And I know some people are annoyed at me for harping on this and criticizing the president, who in many other ways is doing a fantastic job. But I happen to believe that bringing sex predators to justice is extremely important. And I just can't accept being blatantly gaslit by people in power, even if they're people that I otherwise support. In fact, especially if they're people I otherwise support. So I must say that this answer from Trump is just simply awful.
Mm-hmm.
First, there's the personal attacks on anyone who asks questions, saying that they're bad people. It's always a winning argument. If you want to convince millions of skeptical people that their leaders are lying to them about their behavior, then the best approach is to mock them. Works every time. You know, and in general, you know, screaming at people to stop talking about something is, and I know this is the way that I work, like the number one way to guarantee that I keep talking about something is to yell at me to stop talking about it. And then there's the implication that the Epstein files are boring. Well, in that case, release everything. Bore us to death. Go ahead.
Why am I agreeing with
Then the story's
everything he
over
says?
and everyone can go on with their lives. The 9/11 report
Because,
was something like 600 pages.
like,
Parts of that
pause it for a
document were...
second. Like,
Yeah.
because it's one of those rare situations where, like, he can drop the character of Matt Walsh and, like, he's just like a rational human being for like a second. Like, you know, I do think he cares about this in the same way that, like, a lot of people who are absolutely shit people who, like, are bigoted in innumerable different ways, they do genuinely care about this. And, like, their support on a lot of other things can be influenced and wibble wobble and stuff, but, like, this was like something that these people, like, built like their moral foundation when it comes to politics on, and they can't move from that, you know? And, like, it happens to be like, oh yeah, hey, the left is also anti-child sexual abuse. We should probably stop that. So, like, it's one of those situations where we're just like, we're all on the same page here. And yeah, Donald Trump is bad. You know, like, yeah, we're all being like, yeah, you guys are finally starting to get it, maybe a little bit. And I don't know how permanent this is, but, like, I don't know. I hope it continues. I hope it opens some people's eyes. And maybe, like, my dream scenario is you have a bunch of people watching Donald Trump be like, this is just like the Russia, just like the Steele dossier. And, like, I hope it, like, gets some of these people thinking, like, wait, he's comparing it to those things, but, like, we know he has the Epstein files. Does that mean he was lying about these other things too? Like, I hope it leads someone to, like, that small next step, you know?
I would hope so too. I don't have a lot of confidence in that, but I would hope that generally people would connect those dots together.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's kind of what you want human beings to do when they are people that have even a little bit of control over things in your life. Because, like, other voters, they have a percentage of control over what happens in your life, whether you like it or not. So you'd hope that they would be better.
One would hope.
Boring. Almost nobody actually read the entire thing, but it was still very important that the 9/11 report was written. You know, it's extremely confusing, to put it mildly, to see the President of the United States take the opposite position. He says he doesn't understand why people care about Jeffrey Epstein, as if that's some kind of moral failing on our part. Guess what? Why would anyone care about some of the most powerful people on the planet spending time on a sex trafficker's private island?
Aren't these the same people, by the way, who freaked out for the longest time about adrenochrome?
Oh, yeah.
They've stopped talking about that, by the way. Isn't that weird? Isn't that so strange? But
I mean, some of them have. Like, I think that cult still very much exists, but it has diminished.
It's not as relevant as it used to be. But, like, these are the people who were talking about Jewish tunnels used for child sex trafficking under was it New York or Washington, D.C.? I don't remember when that was.
I think it was Washington, D.C. with those.
So, like, these are the people who freak out and call everything Masonic, evil, satanic, pedophilic, whatever. So, of course, these are going to be the same people who look at the Epstein files and go, but why? It's like how you can't get gamers, like, as a group of people, right? Like Gamergate type people. You can't get those people on board with something until you've taken away bouncing boobies in their video game in some way, shape, or form. That's when you get them mad and suddenly they start caring about, like, protecting culture and shit.
God.
Suddenly that stuff matters to them when their gooner bait on their video games is gone.
Yep.
Who could possibly be concerned about the possibility that a cabal of pedophiles and perverts are running entire countries and major corporations. And this is where the comparison to Russiagate comes in. It's probably the worst part of the answer you just heard. Russiagate was a disaster for this country precisely because we didn't get the whole story. Russiagate was premised on lies and distortions at every stage. If Donald Trump made a joke at a rally, the media interpreted it as a coded message to Putin. They pretended that he had a secret computer in Trump Tower that was communicating with Moscow. They said that there was the P-tape. They claimed that Russian hackers were being housed at a non-existent Russian consulate in Miami.
Okay, but for all of that stuff, there's a grain of truth to each of those.
Yeah.
Donald Trump has a direct line to Putin and talks to him, it used to at least talk to him a lot of the time, to the point where we were pretty much sure that he was going to completely come on Putin's side with the Ukraine thing. He seems to be giving Patriot missiles to Ukraine right now, so he's flipping on that a little bit. But for the longest time, it seemed that wasn't going to be the case because of his ties and his big friendship with Putin. When it comes to the Russian hackers doing shit, MI6 had a set of documents talking about Russian hackers who were not necessarily hackers, but Russian botters who were making certain to flood our airwaves on Twitter and places like that, any social media, with information that was in the positive for Trump in one way, shape, or form, actively creating a media landscape where more people would be amenable to the whims of the President Trump at the very least. So, did we specifically have Russian hackers held at a specific area of the United States? No, because when it comes to shit like this, specificity is your absolute worst thing you can have. You need to have enough of the information to be true, but you can't jump to conclusion. The information we knew was true was that Russia did have a bunch of people who were botting on Twitter and other areas to do things in the favor of President Trump. You can't imply from that anything further, but you can get up to that point because we had evidence for shit up to that point. Well, that's the problem with conspiracy theorists, is that they have that tiny grain of truth and then they fucking run with it.
I mean, another aspect of this is that people close to Trump and around his campaign went to prison for lying about this specifically. And it's kind of like, okay, why did you go to prison over this if it's a non-story? I don't know. Seems weird.
Nindenray says, are we taking bets on the FIFA trophy that Trump took? It's in the Oval Office having a listening device to it. Is it bad that I read that as a Tifa trophy?
Maybe a little bit.
That's the guy from the Italian consulate, though. That's different.
Yeah, Michael Cohen went to jail, Bizu. The president's lawyer went to fucking jail over Russiagate. That's some weird shit if nothing was going on. Yeah, Michael Flynn went to jail,
They claim that Trump had...
Sorry.
It's okay. He was in the middle of me breaking open a pistachio. Blame the nuts.
Weaken the GOP's platform on Russia, even though the opposite was true. When Hunter Biden dropped his laptop off at the repair store full of incriminating evidence about Joe Biden's influence peddling operation, the media blamed that on Russia too, and on and on and on.
I don't know about that one.
So Russiagate was an utter fraud.
We never get to escape Hunter Biden's laptop. We always get to perpetually live into the world of Hunter Biden's laptop.
In the shadow of his apparently ginormous dick.
Axo also pointed out we literally had YouTube influencers getting money from Russia. Tim Pool and Laura Chen were getting money from Russia to spread Russian propaganda.
Yep. Dave Rubin, Benny Johnson, so many people.
Just, this timeline is wild.
And to the extent that it was successful, it worked because the media and the Obama administration repeatedly lied to us. They didn't give us information. They lied to our faces for the better part of a decade. With the Epstein situation, what we want is the opposite response from the media and the government. We want total transparency. At the end of his answer, Trump talks about filtering the documents so that we can only we only obtain credible information. But that's not the job of the government.
Can I?
Their job is to give us whatever information they have.
Absolutely. What's up?
Yeah, what I find interesting about this particular maneuvering is that usually people like Matt Walsh hedge their bets pretty hard on making statements along these lines, because it's really hard to walk back, what he's saying, right? It's hard to like, once you've pointed it all out to your audience, it's really hard to be like, actually, it's a total non-story, haha. Like Charlie Kirk is trying to do that, and it's not working very well. And
the way he's doing it is by saying, "I trust my friends in the government." Like that's something that you're going to get conspiratoids to agree on.
Yeah, like you're. I just again, it's not working because Charlie Kirk is essentially saying in the eyes of a lot of these people that like, oh yeah, don't worry, I trust my pedophile friends in the government. Like, come on, like that doesn't make sense. If you're in this sphere of like QAnon brain cooked, you are not going to accept that at all.
But don't worry, we can definitely keep on convincing you that the government has your best interests at heart all the time, especially after we tell everybody that they're hiding a pedophile ring. It's gonna go great. Deputy says, "Oh yeah, Maxwell is now demanding a retrial because of the list. If the list doesn't exist, she's in jail for no reason."
Oh God.
Boy.
I gotta say, I do really appreciate this scandal rocking the Trump administration because it makes the likelihood of like Donald Trump trying to hold on for like a third term basically non-existent. Like you're not gonna run for a third term if this is still like in the air remotely close to your election,
Once they start assessing credibility, they give themselves a license to hide incriminating information. There's no reason to grant the government that license, no matter which political party is in charge. That's what makes the Democrats' sudden interest in the Epstein files so galling and intolerable. They're obviously...
God damn it. He just had to get off the train of things I agreed with. And that's why the Democrats, what the fuck do the Democrats have to do over this? They don't have any fucking power in the government right now.
Yeah,
Shut up, Matt.
The Democrats are the ones urging for all this stuff to come out, Like, I'm actually kind of impressed. Like, Ro Khanna's been... I have my issues with Ro Khanna, but like, dude has been arguing for the House to release these files. Like, it's pretty... I don't know. I would think that if you're in the camp of Matt Walsh, you'd be pro-Democrat in this instance.
Turning this into a dumb partisan issue when it isn't one.
How are the Democrats turning it into a partisan issue? All they're doing is giving their opinions. Like, the only way in Matt Walsh's mind that the Democrats wouldn't turn this into a partisan issue is by the Democrats not speaking. But if they didn't say anything about this, then instead he would be saying their silence is speaking volumes. Like, Matt Walsh is a spin artist.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to find the way to do that. And you and me, who have been doing this YouTube and Twitch thing for a while, we can kind of smell the spin before it happens.
Yeah.
There's no way that Matt wouldn't spin that.
No.
Like, there are those of us who just want to know. We want child sex predators and sex traffickers brought to justice. It's not a partisan issue. And we want that regardless of who's in power.
That's true.
And we talked about this a bit yesterday. All of a sudden, after years of complete disinterest in the entire topic, Democrats are suddenly clamoring for the release of the Epstein files, or at least they're publicly pretending to want the Epstein files to be released. Here's Adam Kinzinger, for example. He's essentially a Democrat, of course. Quote, every, and I mean every Republican incumbent or candidate or even anyone thinking about running as a Republican for even dog catcher needs to be asked over and over and over about Epstein.
I mean, that's good advice right there.
This is a guy who's spent his only significant time in Congress, the only time people knew who he was, screeching hysterically about elderly women and a Q shaman walking around the Capitol building on January 6th. I mean, that was the issue he claimed to care about.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I don't think it's bad to care about an insurrection against the United States government. I don't. Come on.
Oh boy.
But no one actually cared about January 6th, so the whole plan backfired. So now that he's out of office, he's demanding that everybody talk about Epstein, an issue that he didn't care about until this week. It's not hard to see what's going on here. Neither party, Democrat.
That I do think that there is a pretty definitive reason that Democrats didn't want to talk about this, and that's because as Hillary Clinton's I think like not daughter but like niece said on Twitter when Jeffrey Epstein about the Jeffrey Epstein files, like, some of our faves may be implicated. That tweet is still up, and it's like, yeah,
okay,
but I think like those people who might be implicated are far enough from power now where like it's not the defining factor of decision making for a lot of the mainstream Democratic Party.
Also, I'm just going to say this right now as somebody who's been very fed up with the mainstream Democratic Party.
Yeah, fuck them.
And how they've operated and the types of people they've accepted money from. if many people in the Democratic Party get implicated as being problematic by the Epstein files, the only thing I can possibly say to that is good, and then get them out of office so that they no longer have power.
Yep.
I don't have to care. If I find out tomorrow that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is a monster, yeah, I'm going to be a bit sad. But like, I'm not going to care after that point, because once you've demonstrated to me that you're a monster, your spot in my brain disappears. You're gone.
Yeah, like if
your
we
memory hold.
Like if we find out that like AOC was having sex with children, we wouldn't want her in power.
Correct. Like, we'd rather her be gone.
Yeah, and honestly, like that needs to be like the attitude of our elected Dems. It needs to just be like, if you're implicated in this, sorry, we're cutting you loose. Like, bye. Doesn't matter what the political utility is in our current context. They need to go.
And if the majority of the Democratic Party disappears overnight as a result, then the only thing I can say to that is, yeah, good. Okay. Now we can wipe our hands clean and get a new set of people, and maybe we can even get a chairman in again from the Democrats who isn't taken away on procedure because he wants old Democrats to leave. Cough, cough, the David Hogg situation, cough, cough. But that's neither here nor there.
Democrat or Republican wants to see the full unredacted release of the Epstein files, apparently. At a minimum, we can assume that top donors of both parties are implicated in some way. So they both want to neutralize this whole issue as quickly as they can. For Democrats, that means turning the Epstein files into yet another partisan football and turning into another, just a stunt. They're going to make performative efforts to release the files, even though they know that it will never work. For example, here's Axios' reporting from yesterday, quote, House Republicans on Tuesday voted down another Democratic procedural maneuver aimed at forcing the Justice Department to release documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. Democrats' procedural motion would have scuttled the GOP's legislative agenda for the day in favor of the bill, making it difficult for Republicans to vote for it. It came after Republicans on the House Rules Committee voted Monday night against attaching the Epstein language to a broader cryptocurrency and defense funding vote.
Yeah,
and specifically, that broader cryptocurrency vote involved legislation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I don't know. Seems kind of damning that the entire Republican Party is lockstep protecting pedophiles. You know, like I don't know. That seems weird and sus as fuck to me. If you're someone who identifies as a conservative, like I don't know how you are at all rationalizing suddenly all of these people who have been saying for all this time, think of the children, think of the children, think of the children, are now voting.
Some of these people have spent far too much time thinking of children.
Yeah, and they're now voting to prevent information about who, in fact, is a threat to children from being released to the public. That, I don't know. This is like something that genuinely threatens the entire like power base of the Republican Party, and I don't know that they've all fully reckoned with that. I think some of them are like, oh, this is just a Trump thing, but like this is gonna smear every single one of them.
And again, if they all get smeared, then they were better off as smears.
True.
And there we go. We're done.
Mm-hmm.
Think of the children as long as it's convenient to you. That should be the Republican motto. Think of the children so long as it's convenient.
It could have paved the way for a central bank digital currency, as well as restrictions on cryptocurrency ownership. And whatever you think of this bill, although it seems to be a pretty terrible idea, the fact remains that it has nothing whatsoever to do with Jeffrey Epstein.
I apologize, Matt Walsh, that you have just apparently now learned what pork fatting is. I apologize that in the year 2025, you are now an enemy of pork fatting bills, a thing that your side and our side has been doing for years, and a practice that should be illegal. The way we write bills should be the way that they have to write bills in France.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that you do in relation to a bill must be in line with the title of the bill. It cannot be attached to anything in the bill. Oh no, that would make us write more bills. No, it would make you have to read less.
Yep.
It would make people have to read less. We wouldn't have fucking 2,000-page bills that have to be passed overnight.
It was ridiculous.
That would disappear.
That genuinely should be illegal.
It should. Again, France solved this problem. There's also some other problems that France solved temporarily that maybe we could emulate one day in the future, but that's neither here nor there.
One day.
It'll at least make the local Home Depots and Lowe's a lot of money.
So Democrats are using this whole issue to play very transparent political games. That's how seriously they take child sex trafficking, which is not at all But ultimately, if we're being honest, the problem here still goes back to the White House. They've given the Democrats this opening by bungling the situation so badly. The Trump administration seems mystified or is acting that way by the anger from the base. But number one, many of us were not saying anything different from what we've been saying for years about Epstein. Okay. And also what Trump has been saying for years about it. Now Trump has decided all of a sudden that the issue doesn't matter. It's boring. And anyone who talks about it is a weakling and not one of his supporters. He decided that in the last 2 weeks. He never said that before.
Hey, have you
seen, the idea that we as conservatives are...
Have you seen the video that was cut from his Fox News interview where he was asked about whether or not he would declassify different documents?
Is it the one where when they got to Epstein, he said, "Yeah, I would declassify. Actually, maybe not, because there's a lot of stuff in there that might not be true. A lot of people might be implicated."
Yeah, it's basically, a lot of people say a lot of things, a lot of lies going around. It's just like, would you declassify the MLK documents? Would you Yes. Would you declassify the JFK files? Yes. And then the Epstein files, he hems and haws for like 2 minutes. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. I have, there's no surprise there from me, but I was actually corrected on that one. Last night, I was streaming about it, and I said, this is what thing you ran on, and somebody in my chat was like, actually, no, he hummed and hawed about it. I was like, oh, I had completely forgot about that, because I was remembering the fucking publicity stunts with the influencers holding up the Epstein files going, we're about to release them. And, I'm so sorry that I remembered the publicity stunts of the Trump administration as if they are extensions of Trump's will. But, well, we're back on the Matt Walsh being correct about things train for the last couple seconds.
See how many more seconds he lasts.
Yeah, let's see how long this goes.
Obligated to just adopt that perspective out of the blue is madness. It's also not possible, by the way. Even if I wanted to just decide that I don't care about this anymore, it doesn't work that way. I can't just, you can't say to me, well, you shouldn't care about this. Okay, well, then I don't. Well, never mind. Even if I wanted to obey that directive, I just can't. I care about the issue. I've cared about it for the last 5-6 years. I've cared about it the whole time. I still do. But I'm not interested in obeying that directive because I'm an American. I'm an American. I can think for myself. And if you're a person in position of power, I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to criticize you if you do something I don't like. I don't care what party you're in. But the other thing too is that the Epstein scandal, and this is what has to be, you have to understand, is that the Epstein scandal is not happening in a vacuum. Okay, we have not seen any high-profile or powerful people held accountable for their crimes. No one's even been fired, let alone arrested, for allowing an assassin to almost kill Trump last year. Trump was elected in 2016 partly on a promise to lock her.
My guy, the person who was responsible for that is dead. The thing you do when an attempted assassination happens and it fails, you don't just start randomly fucking firing people. You recognize that the threat has been eliminated. What the fuck are you on about?
I mean, I think he thinks that it should be like, oh, you failed to stop the shooter before he got shots off. You must now ritually commit suicide. That is kind of like where he's at.
Please commit Sudoku. You didn't protect a dear leader.
Yeah, exactly.
Arrest the body, lock it up.
I think
what are we worried about? Is he becoming a zombie or something?
I think he's about to say, Donald Trump didn't even lock up Hillary Clinton.
Her up. We all recall that.
Yep, that's what he did.
Partly on a promise to lock her up. We all recall that.
We do.
So when do we start locking people up? Trump himself has spent 10 years calling out many different crimes and scandals. Right.
Again, the reason that he's not going to do that, like I said earlier in this particular video, is Trump understands things in the world of television. This is a guy who went on to fucking pro wrestling for one episode. This is a guy who hosts fucking Bachelorette and The Apprentice. This guy understands statements as things to rile up a crowd, not as things to care about or hang your hat on. That's how he understands them. He understands things within the realm of the media landscape, which is not an excuse in any way, shape, or form. It's just pointing out that this is not a person who's fit to be fucking president.
Also, Matt Walsh is is asking for more people to be locked up. We're one of the most carceral states on the planet already before the Trump administration. We're building concentration camps across the United States. Like we're locking up more people than we ever have before. And like he's like, it's not enough. We need to lock up more people.
Ekobaz says, been asleep all day. What's the new Epstein news? The new Epstein news is that Matt Walsh is 90% right about the Epstein stuff, and it's weird, and I don't like it. It's a very strange feeling.
So, just this past weekend, he was talking again about the rigged election in 2020. Why hasn't anyone been arrested or charged for any of this? What about the people who lied about the COVID shot? What about the people who funded the BLM riots in 2020? What about the cabal of unelected bureaucrats who were using Joe Biden's auto pen to sign pardons and executive orders, effectively seizing control of the federal government?
Can you pause?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God. It was literally just revealed like yesterday or the day before that the guy who is heading the investigation into Joe Biden's auto pen usage has been signing documents with an auto pen. Like, it's such a non-issue that like literally the head of investigating that issue is also doing it. Like, I'm sorry, you're calling for people to be jailed over using like an auto signature? Like, get the fuck out of here.
You mean that thing that you do anytime you open up DocuSign?
Yep. It's like, yeah, Matt, it's almost like all of these things that Republicans have concocted over the years are completely bullshit. Thank you for pointing all of them out.
Like, no one is even being fired for any of this, let alone arrested for any of it. And that is the context that all of this is happening in, and a lot of us are just fed up with it. Speaking of the auto pen thing, the New York Times just uncovered emails from Biden officials in which they made executive decisions to sign certain documents. Quote, Mr. Zients hit reply all and wrote, I approve the use of the auto pen for the execution of all of the following pardons. That's a reference to Jeff Zients, the White House chief of staff. That's a sentence that no government official other than the president should ever write. The chief of staff does not have the authority to use the president's signature to pardon people.
Have you
That's exactly what happened.
Have you ever seen Donald Trump? Have you ever seen Donald Trump sign his executive orders?
I try not to.
Dude literally does not know what he's signing. Like he does not know. He has to have someone there explaining what each one does because he just has no idea. You know, he's checked out.
Because it's just the Heritage Foundation giving him shit to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yenza says, and how are those events similar to the Epstein files? So the thing about Matt Walsh's show is he has an hour-long rant session. That's what it is. It's an hour-long rant session, not unlike what me and Jack do sometimes.
Hey.
It's an hour-long rant session. So I can't blame him for tangenting on this because he's not, as far as I know, he's not working with a teleprompter or anything. He's just shooting off the cuff. And a thing that people do is they normally, when they're shooting off the cuff, they'll go on a tangent. I'm not trying to defend Matt Walsh. If you've got the bullet coming for him, I'm not blocking it. I'm perfectly okay with this behavior of bouncing around shit because it's an hour-long segment. He can cut it out in editing later if he needs to.
To say that digital signatures shouldn't be allowed, various outlets, including NBC News, have tried to claim that conservatives are attacking the idea of digital signatures. It's a straw man. That's not the case.
But
if Joe Biden,
but that is the case. No. Don't fucking do that, my guy. You're upset that somebody worked on behalf of the president, which is a thing that administrations have been doing for years.
Yep.
They have a representative working on behalf of them. And you're upset that an auto pen was used, which is a digital signature, which is a non-issue. I'm sorry. It's not a straw man when it's the actual shit happening.
100%.
You were doing so well. Paladin Law says he doesn't even know what officials he nominated for certain positions. He completely forgot he nominated Jerome Powell and then went, who's that idiot? Who's the idiot this guy is in?
Yeah, he literally
had said, use my auto.
He literally was like, he went on like a tangent today for like 2 minutes talking about how idiotic it was for Joe Biden to nominate Jerome Powell to the to the Fed, and like he also nominated Jerome Powell to the Fed. Like his brain's gone.
He is checked the fuck out. Have you seen the close-up pictures of him where he just looks like he is on every drug known to man?
I mean, he was literally bragging the other day about how he passed that dementia test like 7 years ago. You know, the person computer, the test, whatever. And like he's still bragging about it. But like But like, you're bragging about a early onset dementia test you took 7 years ago. Like, I don't know. That's maybe one of the most dementia coded things I've ever seen. Frankly, it's crazy.
It's like being super happy that you scored really high on your RADS test and then following it up with, by the way, I'm not autistic.
Yeah.
Like person, woman, man, camera, TV.
Yeah, he also seems to think that it was an IQ test, which is
I scored higher than anyone else.
Yeah, he was comparing his test results for that early onset dementia test to the IQ scores he imagines for AOC and what's her name? Jasmine Crockett.
The conservatives are really upset that Crockett exists right now.
I know. It's one of the reasons I like her.
Enemy of my enemy. Although she seems to have a good head on her shoulders, so it's not even that.
Yeah, I don't agree with her on everything, but like I like that she's willing to fight, you know?
Yeah, she's not Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
Pen to approve these pardons, there'd be no story. Okay, that's not a scandal, but that's not what happened. Instead, a bunch of aides got together, said that they heard Joe Biden authorize certain things, and then solely based on their claims about what Joe Biden wanted, they used his signature to do what they wanted. Now, back to the point, Republicans are saying...
Okay, I'm not 100% certain that Matt Walsh is framing that correctly, but that's mostly because I generally do not trust the words that come out of Matt Walsh's mouth.
Yeah.
But I have no evidence to the contrary on that one, so I'm not going to fight against it. I'm just going to go based on the vibes. I don't generally agree with shit that Matt Walsh says unless I have good reason to.
Saying that this is a major scandal, I agree. It is. So then who will be held responsible? Who will be punished? What actual person with a face and a name are you going to arrest and put in prison for this scandal?
None.
Well, Republicans are investigating it. I mean, they're constantly investigating things. The problem is that nobody is ever punished at the end of it. And I don't even think that's hyperbole. Like, nobody is ever punished at the end of any of these investigations. That's not how the Democrats operate. Democrats spent the last 4 years prosecuting Trump and throwing conservative activists and political advisors in prison.
Oh, so you're saying that the Democrats are actually better at their fucking jobs?
The conservative...
I can agree with that.
Conservative activists that got sent to prison. The insurrectionists on January 6th.
And now, even after the majority of Americans have voted for transparency and justice, we're not getting it. And that's just not going to work. It's not what any Republican voted for in the last election. Okay? We want to see accountability.
Mm-hmm.
We want to know that even the rich and powerful will pay for their crimes. And that hasn't happened yet. And so for a lot of people, understandably so, this Epstein stuff is kind of the last straw.
What I really, really
Give us the information we've been promised. Give us...
Is that, like, very clearly, the reason this isn't coming out yet is because somehow, in some manner, the president himself is implicated in this. And, like, Matt Walsh isn't saying that, but, like, a lot of conservatives, especially, like, maybe not 2 days ago, but, like, today, are really looking at Trump and being like, did this guy diddle kids?
Did he do it?
Yeah, like
what was he cooking?
This is not how you would handle this if you weren't guilty as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, Matt Walsh is actually upset in a way that I haven't ever seen him actually upset before.
Most of the time when he's upset, it seems like he's playing the character.
Yeah, and I don't think he's playing a character here.
Yeah, I think this is real Walsh for a little bit.
The information we're entitled to. If you refuse to do that, if you insist on insulting us instead, then we're facing a much worse outcome than Democrat control of Congress in less than 2 years. We're also facing a total collapse of legitimacy in our country. You can only deny reality for so long before people decide that they've had enough.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever donors or intelligence assets are being protected here, they're not that important. They're not worth risking a revolt.
Yeah.
So give us the boring Epstein files, publish all.
It's definitely the intelligence assets and donors that are being protected here. Definitely no one else at all.
Definitely not the president himself. I would never call Dear Leader a potential pedophile. Never Dear Leader.
No, they're gonna play that one close to the chest until, like, I don't know, like, until this escalates even further. Dear Leader would never.
Dear Leader would never.
All the uninteresting footage you clipped out of those videos from Epstein's cell block for reasons that no one has bothered to explain. Otherwise, in the absence of transparency, people will come to their own conclusions. And when they do, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, you won't like what happens next. Now let's get to our 5 headlines.
I mean,
that wasn't the headline. Okay.
I think generally people who are implicated for sex trafficking children aren't happy when that comes to light. But you know what? I don't care. I hope they all go to jail. I agree. Rare Matt Walsh W.
Yeah, for the most part. Then there was that weird stuff about the Democrats halfway through, but you can't have it all when it comes to Walsh.
Yeah, I mean, this is the closest to a W he's ever been.
I mean, he's usually just harping on about the age of consent and how he doesn't necessarily agree with it being as...
I forgot. He's literally gone on camera and talked about how like 16-year-olds are the most fertile, technically, and how age of consent is a modern invention. Like, I don't know. Like, he's literally gone on his show and talked about the most sus shit.
Did you know that the age of consent is a modern invention? Okay, but it was invented for a reason. Do you want to explain that reason, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know cell phones are a modern invention? They were invented for a reason. Do you want to explain that reason? Like, it's okay for something to be a modern invention. That doesn't make it bad or unimportant. The real question is, why are you bringing it up? The real question always becomes, why are you bringing it up? Mm-hmm. Depraved Ambience goes,
Dear leader would never. And if he did, he'd have a good reason. And if he didn't have a good reason, it wasn't as bad as it seems. And if it is as bad as it seems, well, he couldn't help himself. And if he could have helped himself, well, it was her fault.
I'm getting really big vibes from that fucking Twitter post of the what man wouldn't partake.
Oh God.
Have you seen that shit?
I have not, but like I can surmise what it means from the context.
Yep, you've got it. It's the Trump defenders that are okay with him being a pedophile because what man wouldn't partake?
God, was that the Outkick guy?
I don't remember. I covered it in an episode a couple days ago, and it's been memory hold because it's fucking gross.
Yeah, there was that guy from like that conservative sports website who was just like, technically, a lot of states have ages of consent that go as low as 14. So really, Jeffrey Epstein should have just gone and done all this in Alabama. It totally would have been fine. Like it's genuinely some of the most unhinged shit.
You just sounded like a fucking South Park character for that whole thing.
I mean, that's what they deserve.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you on that.
You know,
well, that's it for the Matt Walsh video. At least we're not going into the other shit. I don't care about the other shit.
Yeah, a lot of you guys are saying Dave Portnoy from Barstool, and I wasn't talking about Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports, but like you guys, you know, it's somewhat telling that you guys hear me say something that one conservative said. I think it was Clay Travis from Outkick, but then you're like, wait, do you mean this conservative or this conservative or this conservative or this one or that other one? Like, I don't know. It's kind of telling that a lot of them are saying really sussy shit about age of consent.
If your group of people is known for talking about the age of consent at length, then maybe your group of people should be in a jail cell.
That's a great ending note. 100%.
100%.
Riverboat Jack is going to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.